Perfect. Well, thank you everybody for attending. My name is Deanna Haas. I'm the VP of Agent Success and Partnerships for Sold.com. You guys have probably seen me in a few of our other webinars or hopefully met me in person. If any of you guys were at the Tom Ferry Summit in Dallas this year, I was also there and it was a really great event. As part of Sold.com, we really want to invest in our agent success, not only with their conversions with Sold.com, but also their general conversions everywhere, because selfishly, as long as we can get you as the agents converting business better, it's going to also roll into what you get from Sold.com and also see the benefit there. And as a success-based company, again, that selfishness comes in a little bit of play because we truly have a vested interest in seeing you guys convert because we make money when you guys make money. And so as that, we've started to partner up with amazing coaches across the Tom Ferry platform. And one of those people that we have with us today is Emily Kettenburg, and she will be talking about increasing production and conversion. If you just joined the call, we have chat and we also have the Q&A option under the webinar. So please utilize that. We want this to be an interactive event where you guys are taking as much as you possibly can from this. And I will be asking your questions on your behalf and making sure that we cover that as part of the content that's reviewed. And this is hosted by Sold.com, so there will be things that I will try and bring up too for those of you guys who are struggling with any parts of it. And if Emily's covering that piece in her content, I can talk to you about how that may relate into where how you can receive it and utilize it within the Sold.com platform as well. This is being recorded, so we'll share it with everybody afterwards. We have a special little surprise at the end of the webinar to offer you guys as well. But at the end of the day, I hand you over to Emily.
Yay. Well, thank you, Deanna. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate everything that you said, right? Pouring into agents that we're affiliated with is what we do best, right? So making sure that you're able to not only produce, but also convert so that you're making money, we're making money, everyone's making money, right? There's plenty in our industry to go off of. So I super appreciate the time together today. Our promise, or my promise to you today, is that during this session, we will explore the best practices around increasing conversion in today's market. So how do we do that? We make sure that we work with mindset, skill set, and actions. Those three combined will get us to the best conversion rate possible. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Emily Kettenburg. I'm one of Tom's senior coaches. I'm also one of his speakers. As you can probably tell already, I'm from the Northeast. So forgive my New Jersey twang. I'm from the greater Princeton region. I do also talk really fast, probably from being from the Northeast. So if there's anyone from Middle America and I'm talking too fast, please interrupt me and tell me to slow down, okay? Because I get very excited and passionate about our time together. And as Deanna mentioned, I really love for this to be as engaging as possible. Don't hesitate to ask any questions. You can ask those questions either in the chat and she'll monitor that, or through the Q&A. There is no question that's going to be silly, okay? So don't hesitate to ask any type of question that you possibly come up with. So I'm just curious, does everyone know the statistic on the percentage of success in life and in business that's based off of mindset? So if you want to add into the chat what you believe that percentage is, I'm just curious to see if anyone has that percentage. Close, Tammy, you are so close. Tom, I think it's Tom, T-H-O-M, you nailed it, 80%. 80% of success in life and business is our mindset. So of course, when we're talking about conversion and we're talking about best practices, we need to make sure that we address mindset. So as you'll hear Tom say, there are 4 keys to making sure that you have an effective mindset. The first one is simple. You got to show up. The second one is you need to pay attention. The third one is you need to tell the truth. And the last one is don't be attached to the outcome. So the keys there is show up, pay attention, tell the truth, don't be attached to the outcome. Embed that into your brain, because 80% again of success is the mindset, personal or professional. So we really want to make sure that we show up. Number one thing, right? So what does it mean to show up? What does showing up properly mean in your businesses? In my opinion, showing up in your business means that you are operating on a level 10 before your feet even hit that ground in the morning. So in the chat, let me know, do you have a morning routine? Do you do some type of affirmation and gratitude to remind yourself to show up strong? What are your strategies that you're using to make sure that we get this right first? Because if we end up following up on a call or talking to an expired or open house, any lead source that you're working off of, and this isn't right, we're not showing up properly. So I'm just curious, when it comes to the keys with your mindset, what are you doing right now? Let me just look here. What do we have? Miracle morning. I love it. Time blocking and owning the morning. Dude, you're speaking my language. That's twice. You got two things right. First thing was miracle 80%. Now you got the miracle morning right. Tony Robbins and his mastery. I love that. I'm actually trained with Robbins and Adonis. I just chose not to work with them. I chose to work with Tom from a coaching standpoint because I'm passionate about real estate agents, but absolutely getting the mindset right there. Time blocking and owning the morning, all super critical components, right? So showing up and that mindset is a staple to your success. When you show up, you do the work, be it professionally or personally, but you have to be present. One of the hardest things about being present is time management, which someone mentioned, right? Blocking that time and making sure that we're scheduling our chaos. Because in our industry, and having been involved in our industry for, gosh, I'm going to age myself now, 30 years this year, we really have to make sure that we manage the chaos unless the chaos will manage us. So in order to show up properly, we need to get this right. Then we need to not be afraid to make our calls and have our conversations, right? We are a conversational-based industry. We can't sell properties simply by doing this or by doing this, right? We also need to be conversing with them. Another way for you to show up is shoot those videos for social media, right? Make sure that you are showing up in every aspect of your life and tying it a little bit to real estate so that they know what you're doing. Another great way to show up is be prepared when you're ready to go on a listing appointment, especially when it comes to expired or for sale by owners. You do your homework in advance. That makes you show up. And also winning for your buyers, having that mindset, doing the homework, understanding what they're looking for. I call it peeling back the onion, asking better questions so that you're able to show up for them and win for them. Mindset and showing up is so critically important. The second one is pay attention. I know it seems super simple, but sometimes we have to take a step back and we have to remind ourselves to actually be present and to pay attention. So when it comes to paying attention, you know, if 90%, 80% is just showing up, imagine what it's like if you pay attention. So what do you need to pay attention to? I'd venture to say you always need to pay attention to your local market area. You also need to pay attention to your surroundings. You need to pay attention to the people that you're talking to. And you need to adjust yourself ever so slightly to win their trust. So there was someone in the chat a moment ago that we talked about, Lisa, mentioned that she was a student of Tony Robbins and his mastery. So Lisa is very familiar with DISC. Some of you may not be. Another form of DISC is the original form, which was social styles. Social styles study goes all the way back to Aristotle. If you haven't brushed up on understanding the styles, understanding your own style, and then determining what your client's style is and adjusting yourself this much to win more trust, you need to do that. So whether that be through webinars or seminars, or whether you pick up a book like the Social Styles Handbook by Wilson Learning, or Angela Tucker wrote a great book that's Stop Squatting with Your Spurs On. It's very important to understand your own personal style, but believe it or not, one of the magic bullets, which I don't necessarily believe in magic bullets, but in this case, it's been one through the years of inspiring agents to greatness in my professional, background, adjusting your style this much to the other person's to win trust makes conversion go through the roof. So paying attention, asking better questions, and adjusting your style ever so slightly to win the trust of the other consumer is going to make that conversion go through the roof. So I'm going to share with you a little story. For those of you that understand DISC, you probably have already guessed I'm a really high D. So you can't get above 99, and I'm a 99. My I is 75%. My S and my C naturally are really low, like under 15. But I've worked through the years to make everything be 50% across the board. Takes a lot of work. My husband is a really high C, so that means he's very analytical. So here's a little life story that you can relate to real estate. So my husband and I buy a house. When we buy the house, we determine that we hate the appliances and we're going to replace them anyway. So what happens? What happens is the first week we're in the house, Saturday morning, I'm making a cup of coffee and the refrigerator starts making a noise. So what's the high D do? High D pours her coffee into a road cup. She starts marching through the living room with her bag in her hand, and she turns to her husband and she says, "Oh, hey, baby, the refrigerator started making a noise. So I'm just going to go to the store. I'm going to see what they have in stock. I'm going to see what can get delivered on Monday. Did you want to go with me?" My husband, super analytical. He's doing the New York Times crossword puzzle with a pen at that moment in the living room. He pulls that paper down and he looks at me and he goes, "You're doing what?" And at that moment I go, what was I thinking? I've practiced this in real estate for so many years. He's an analytical. I just went about this the total wrong way. I'm never going to get his conversion to let me just go buy that refrigerator. So I turned around ever so sweetly and I said, "Baby, you're right." Because what does an analytical or high C need? They need to know they're right. So, baby, you're right. How about we do this? How about you do some research? It's now 9. How about we wait till noon? And at noon, you give me a list of the 5 to 7. And if you want to come with me to the store, you can come with me. He goes, "Oh, no, I don't want to come." I said, "Well, is that enough time to do your research?" "Of course." So what's he do? Over the next 3 hours, he walks in the kitchen, he comes out, he gets the tape measure, he goes down the basin, he's measuring this way, measuring this way, he's online, he's searching, he's researching, he's doing all the research. And at 12:10, he hands me a list of 7 refrigerators. Now, 12:10 is an important part of that story because I gave him till 12. So an analytical needs timeline and 10 minutes. So at that point, what does the high driver do? She says, "Okay, baby, I'll go look at them." I get in my car, I speed to the store, I get out of the car, I walk in the store, I hand them the list along with my credit card, and I say, "Which one's in stock that I can have on Monday?" And the poor salesman says, "Did you want to look at them?" I go, "Nope, just tell me which one's in stock that I can have on Monday." So what happened there? The D1 and the C1, if the C was my client and I was paying attention to him and I was showing a property to him, I would make sure that I had all the disclosures. I would make sure that I had all of the analytical data, the price per square foot, the average price per square foot that's sold, the list to sale ratio, average days on the market, so on and so forth. If I had a seller that I was going after a listing on and I sensed that they were a high analytical, I made sure when I was pitching to them, that I would be giving them all of the data and I would have it all in front of me and I'd have it in my bag of tricks when I got there. So based on their style, I would be adjusting. That's paying attention on a really high level. And when you pay attention on that high level, you will win trust. Personally, I feel in a simple sentence, real estate is a relationship business built on trust. Our commodity is a property. So whether we're building that trust in a minute, in 10 minutes, in a half an hour, or in hours, the bottom line is we've got to make sure that we are building that trust so that we can move forward. Make sense? Yes? No? Maybe so? Let's see it in the chat.
It's
Making sense.
It's a great tip for real estate, and it's a great relationship tip too. So this is a hybrid combo webinar of
Isn't it crazy? It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. You know what, Deanna? I joke with Tom all the time that when I retire, because I already retired once when I was 49. And I joke with Tom that when I retire the second time, which he says to me, no, you're not going to, but I say I'm going to write a relationship book based on social styles. And I'm also going to write a book for leaders based on how to inspire people to greatness based on social styles, right? So it's funny that it all does tie together. And someone mentioned, Lindsay mentioned, everyone should read Exactly What to Say for Real Estate Agents by Phil Jones. I adore Phil. Lindsay, I don't know if you're one of our coaching clients or not, but we have a really strong relationship with Phil. He spoke at our summit, and we do a handful of master classes with him. I was able to spend a handful of time with him. I agree 100%. His second book is Exactly What to Say, and it has an orange cover on it. Don't get that one. Get the one that's black and white. Exactly What to Say for Real Estate Agents. On page, I think it's 176, there's a little cheat sheet based on lead source, what the magic phrase would be to help win the trust. Phil and I are very much aligned when it comes to building the trust, building the trust, building the trust, building the trust. Good, 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 good. If I were to go on a listing appointment and ask them, do you want the numbers? Would there be a downfall? You know, Jessica, that's a really great question. In my opinion, when you go on the listing appointment, the first thing that you're going to ask is when you get there, you know, obviously first you're going to knock. You're going to take 2 steps backwards. Why? So when they answer the door, you're not like this, right? So you take those 2 steps backwards. And then I always say, you know, I appreciate the time that you know, I understand you have a lot of choices. I really appreciate our time together today. Where would you like to begin? That's where I start. I'd love to take a walk through the house. Where would you like to begin? And basically, Jessica, based on where they tell me they'd like to begin is how I start determining what their social style is. So let's say you're in a market that has a basement and they say, I'd love to begin in the basement. And as you start down those steps, they look up and they're going, you know, that's a 4x4 instead of a 2x2. And let me show you my electrical box and blah, 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 blah. Or the first thing they want to do is they want to walk you around the house. And as they're walking you around the house, they're pointing out their foundation or something structural or something so on and so forth. Immediate red flag for me, it's a C, it's cautious. What that means is when I pitch, charts, graphs, bury them with data. I go to the front door, I say the same thing, and I say, where would you like to begin? And they turn to me and they go, whatever works for you, Emily. That's a high S. What do I have to do to win a high S? When I pitch, I need to point out my written reviews and my testimonials, because they won't make a decision unless they know I've helped others and I can help them too. If I go back to that front door and I say, where would you like to begin? And they take me to the prettiest feature of the house. Maybe they finished a basement or they've got a fabulous pool or their kitchen is phenomenal. In my mind, high I or an expressive. When I pitch, the part of my listing presentation that I am going to dial into is the marketing, because they will hire me when they know I'm going to make their house look fabulous. And if I go back to that front door and I say, where would you like to begin? And they are already walking through the house. They've already started. They're a high D. And when I pitch to them, I know that all I have to do is tell them at what price, how long it's going to take, and what it's going to cost them. Truth be told, that listing appointment could be done in 15 minutes. Did that help you? Did that make sense? Meanwhile, I'm going to repeat the name of the book. Exactly What to Say is the Phil Jones book. And the two books that I mentioned on social styles, one is The Social Styles Handbook by Wilson Learning. And the second one is Stop Squatting with Your Spurs On by Angela Tucker. So 3 good books so far that we got. Jessica, did that help? Good. Excellent. Good, good, good. Awesome. Perfect. Good, good, good. Excellent. Good questions. All right, good. So back to paying attention. So paying attention to the local market. Are you running the hot sheet every day? Are you previewing properties? You know, today's listing is tomorrow's comp. And over the last 2.5 years, we didn't have the opportunity to preview because things were flying off the market. But if you are leaning into expired and for sale by owners and the affiliation through sold.com, you need to make sure that you know those comps inside and out. You need to know that local market. You need to know your surroundings. You need to know who you're talking to, as we discussed with DISC, and how to adjust your style. So the third thing is tell the truth. Tell the truth. As we've already said, trust is such a critical component to having someone decide to hire you. People hire people they know, like, and trust. Build the trust as fast as you can. So it's really time to get real, to make sure you're paying attention. You are showing up for the job that you are interviewing for. When you go on a listing appointment, that pitch, or you might call it a listing presentation or a CMA or whatever, call it my Northeast thing, I call it a pitch. That pitch is a job interview. Don't forget it. So, are you telling the truth to yourself? You telling the truth to your clients? Are you telling the truth to your business plays that work? Telling the truth is going to win the trust faster. How many of people have ever been hard sold trying to buy a car and you walk out of the dealership, right? Bottom line is that's because they forgot that we were a person and all they're thinking about is their commodity of the car. They're forgetting about the trust factor. Or you walk into a store and all of a sudden they're all on top of you. Can I help you with something? And you don't even feel like continuing into the store, right? So that's making sure that you are connecting and you're realizing that they're a human being and it's a commodity that they're selling, and you are building the trust upon it. Okay, makes sense? All right, now, number 4, under our mindset category is don't be attached to the outcome. So what do we mean by that? If you do everything in your power to help a client and it doesn't work out, that should not crush you and it should not upset you. It is part of your journey. It is part of your learning experience. You want to be 1000% committed to it, but not attached to it. You never want to give away things that you have no control or power over. Okay. So truth be told, can I tell you guys a real funny story? Are we ever posting this, Deanna? Is this going public or are we just sending it to the participants?
We'll likely put it on our YouTube page.
Okay, maybe I shouldn't say it then. My first coach, who shall remain nameless, that was not Tom Ferry, but related to him, kept telling me when I first started in real estate, now we're talking before many of you were born, we're talking in the 90s, right? So mid 90s, he kept saying to me, you don't understand, don't be attached to the outcome, don't be attached to the outcome, don't be attached to the outcome, don't be attached to the outcome. And what he meant is, don't give a SH blank T about the person, just be trying to get the appointment. And I flipped it completely over and I thought, no, I'm not going to get attached to the commission check. I'm not going to have commission breath. Instead, I'm going to get attached to serving the client, because I believe if you serve the client, they tell 10 friends and so on and so on and so on and so on. And then we don't have to scramble for leads, right? So I did exactly what my first coach told me not to do. I did the exact opposite, but it all had to do with this same phrase of don't be attached to the outcome. Okay. So he shall remain nameless. Sorry. All right. Anyway, make sure that, you keep this mindset journey going, because it is truly a part of that. All right. So in the chat, which one do you need to do better at of those 4? Just curious. Zachary, this particular PowerPoint is not in a Loom. No.
And we'll share this, guys, after. We'll have the recording, and Emily, as long as you're okay with it, we can attach the PowerPoint as well.
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine with it. Oh my gosh, Tammy, that's cute. Yes, I know. I talk too fast. All right. The Social Styles Handbook, and that is Wilson Learning. And stop squatting with your spurs on. I have no idea why she named it that, but it's pretty funny, is Angela Tucker. And then exactly what to say for real estate agents. Make sure you get the right ones, right book, and that's Phil Jones. Awesome. I love that you guys are readers. Readers are leaders. Don't be attached to the outcomes. Show up. Absolutely. All right, good. So make sure, look, you're not here to just listen to me rant. You're here to learn. So make sure that you internally come up with which one it is that you need to work on, and then just do it like Nike says, right? Make sure that you take an actionable item. I'm hopeful that you get 3 actionable items from this. You implement those 3 actionable items, and through that, your conversion goes up through the roof. Okay. So thank you for those of you that were honest and committed to what you needed to do. So now let's have a little bit of fun on expired and for sale by owners. One of my favorite lead sources. Truth be told, when I first started in the business, expired and for sale by owners were 2. I call them 2 lead sources. I'm from farm country in New Jersey. And yes, there is farm country in New Jersey. And so we always had a long farm table in our house. And I knew took 4 legs to hold up the table, but 6 legs to dance on it. I don't know about you guys, but I like to dance. So I always made sure when I was starting my business that I had 4 to 6 different lead sources. Expired and for sale by owners were 2 of them. But what I learned early on, and what we've learned through the years of actually paying attention to them, is there are certain things that for sale by owners and expireds need, right? So we really need, instead of trying to go, I'm just going to hard sell this, it expired, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to tell them how bad their agent was, how their agent SUCKED, and I have terrible potty mouth. So, that's what I'm going to tell them, and so on and so forth. We need to step back a moment. And remember, pay attention was one of them, right? So we need to step back a moment and say to ourselves, what do they need? How do we fix their problem? Yes, their property didn't sell, or yes, they are trying to sell it themselves. But how do we fix that? How do we help them with that? Well, the top 4 reasons that a home didn't sell are condition, pricing, marketing, and agent representation. So rather than just going after the juggler, your agent, insert whatever word you want to use, you need to actually talk to all 4 of these. You need to make sure that you're talking to the condition. Maybe it's staging, maybe it's, doing some freshening up that wasn't done that the previous agent didn't recommend to them. You need to dig into the pricing, and you need to be giving a true pricing opinion of the 3 pricing strategy. You can price it high, and we're looking for a needle in a haystack. And Mr. and Mrs. Seller, unfortunately, that'll mean I'll need a 24-month listing agreement, right? You can price it at market, and based at market, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, congratulations, we're going to be directly in line with our competition. Or we can price it ever so slightly below fair market value. And with that, we're going to create the urgency that occurred during the pandemic when people were fighting over houses. So you need to be able to go in there strong enough by doing your homework and running your comps and knowing the market to be able to properly price. You also need to make sure that you're hitting on the marketing, because remember, if it's a high I or an expressive, and they're showing you the prettiest part of the house, that's what's going to be most important to them. And you also may need to make sure you're highly professional when it comes to the agent representation. That is why homes don't sell. So if you can exceed the expectation on those 4, you're going to win. Does that make sense?
One thing that we've seen with sold.com is part of what we hand out is consumers come to us that have been trying to go for sale by owner.
Yeah.
And as you've talked about, areas where people, like the one note I took is the attached to the outcome. I think a lot of people, when they approach the for sale by owner, have that attachment to the outcome, because a lot of times what we hear when you first talk to a for sale by owner, they will never hire an agent. They will never talk to anybody. They'll never pay a fee. And that gets really, it gets in our head as a salesperson of, oh, they're never going to do anything. But there's a NAR stat that says that 92% of for sale by owners wind up going off to hire an agent.
Yes.
But it really just depends on like when we're actually talking to them. But I think that's a good point of like circling back of like not having that attachment. But with sold.com stuff, what we traditionally see is about a 30-day timeline, about 3 weeks from the time that for sale by owner goes on the market. They're in that honeymoon period of this is going to be great. And then they realize that for sale by owner process is not as fun as they thought it was going to be. And they wake up one day, yesterday they said, I'll never hire somebody. And that next day they wake up and they're like, I don't want to do this again. They don't realize how hard it is to be a real estate agent. And they don't realize that how much they're missing out on, because in their head, all you did was put a sign in the yard. And that's the only difference between what they do and you do. But I think that's one of the things that a lot of consumers get lost in is it's not necessarily that they don't want to pay a fee. It's that they don't understand the value behind what you're going to offer different than what they did.
Correct. And truth be told, that's on us. I say we fall on the sword on that because we didn't properly educate them when we were presenting to them. We were just going in with commission breath, trying to get the signature. We failed to tell them that, why, yes, Mr. For Sale by Owner, you can put a sign in the ground and you might have 40 people interested. But statistically speaking, the real value of hiring an agent is not to put the sign in the ground. It's to shepherd you through the entire process so that we get to the closing. Because from the sign in the ground to the closing is where we really shine and do our homework. That's where we do our real work. But you have to educate them on that. They don't know. They just don't know. And the other thing that you mentioned was the follow-up with regard to those 30 days, right? We know statistically speaking, 48% of all of you salespeople, 48% of you never follow up with a prospect. We also know that only 2% of sales are made on the first contact. 3% of sales are made on the second, 5% on the third, 10% on the fourth, and our magic number 80, yet again, 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. So if you're calling that for sale by owner once, or you're knocking on their door once to preview it, to Deanna's point, and you're forgetting to follow up, those of you on this call that change that habit and you continue to follow up, we'll list it within 30 days.
Yeah, don't get deterred by that. I'll never hire an agent, or I'll call you if we decide to do something.
Exactly.
It's keep it up. And I think that's where with Sold, let us know how we can continue to help you too, so we can help get you further along into that. But definitely don't give up, because I think that's the key, specifically on those for sale by owner, with everybody, but specifically on those for sale by owners. It's being there when they do have that fail moment.
Yep, absolutely. And with the expireds, and look, you're running your hot sheet. I'm assuming you're running your hot sheet. And by hot sheet, I mean, every day you go into the MLS and for your market area, you know what's active, pending, and sold. If you're not doing that, you got to pick up that habit. But you're running your hot sheet every day. So active, pending, sold, and expireds, or, active, pending, solds, and canceled, so on and so forth on a daily basis. You're running that information anyway. So if you're working an expired or a for sale by owner lead through sold.com, you want to make sure that you're following up with those people on a weekly basis and letting them know, oh, hey, by the way, I know you're not ready to list the house. I know you want to sell it for sale by owner, but I just wanted to let you know, within the last 7 days, there were 10 active, 4 under contract, and 3 closed in your market area, whatever your numbers are. If you go big or go small, whatever it is, you're looking at the hot sheet anyway on a daily basis. So why not use that as a follow-up with the expired and the for sale by owners to get that conversion ratio up? 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 13th contact, right?
I think that's so helpful to talk through, because I think a lot of the paralysis, in my opinion, has come from, I don't know what to say.
Yes.
I follow up, and I don't want to just say like, are you ready yet? Right. Because that's not going to do the trick. We all know that. So I think that's that super helpful statement for a lot of people, for any salesperson, no matter what your industry is. I think a lot of people just get stuck and I don't know what to say, and I don't want to be bothersome. But the reality is the people who do technically sell us are the people who are on top of us, and I don't want to say bother, giving us valuable content. And I think that's the differentiator, is what you just talked through is actually providing value with each and every phone call, where they should be looking forward to your call.
That's the key, Deanna. 1000%. You have to provide value. People hire people they know, like, and trust. So if you're just calling and going, ready to list, ready to list, ready to list, ready to list, your conversion ratio is going to go like this. When you come from a place of, hey, since the last time we spoke, I just wanted to let you know, this is active, this is pending, and this is sold in your marketplace. And then just wanted to let you know, this is what's active, this is what's pending, this is what's sold, right? The average listing or canceled listing, and, you know, again, if your MLS says you cannot solicit canceled listings, don't solicit them, right? So it depends on what your ruling are on the wording of it, but the average expired listing takes 6 days to select their new agent. The average, make sure you remember that word, average expired listing takes 6 days to select their new agent. So during those first 6 days, you want to make sure follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. However, what I'd like to challenge you on is also to say that the old expired listing is gold. There is gold in the old. And the reason I say that is because of that sales statistic I shared with you a minute ago. 48% of agents never follow up on a lead more than once. So if in that first day, they're getting 20 phone calls, on the second day, they're probably getting 10 phone calls. And on the third day, they're probably getting 2 phone calls. And by the 7th or 6th day, when they decide to list, they may only be getting 1 phone call. That phone call needs to be you. All of the money is in that follow-up. And then a month later, no phone calls. So that's why, and Deanna, you're going to talk about this a little bit more later, but when she showed me that platform that you guys have the ability to plug into, I was blown away. I was like, are you kidding me? I want to get back in sales again. I was so excited because there is so much money in that older data and no one else is calling them. So now you don't even have to compete to win, right? Good stuff. The for sale by owners. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, we had a question come from Garrison, and it kind of follows along in what we've been talking about. So Garrison talked about the sold.com passive referrals, which are, as you know, the people who have come to our site where that agent was recommended. And so I would be interested to know, like, your tips on this. Consumer didn't necessarily click on an agent. All they did was come on a real estate site and allude to the fact that they're interested in possibly getting more information about selling their home, a home valuation, or maybe even they're exploring cash offers, but that agent wasn't selected. And so it's a little bit more of a passive approach as people reach out to them and they're kind of doing more of that discovery outreach versus I just saw you clicked on me. Do you have any insights of how you might recommend people continue that? Because I think it goes a lot into what you've talked about before, that figuring out who they are on that like disc approach so that you know what to talk about with them and how to approach them. But any recommendations for Garrison?
I guess, the real question there, the real question there is what he's looking for is really better how to connect with the person? Is that what sort of the root of that question is?
Garrison, do you want to add your additional note into the chat functionality? Because I don't think you can add into your Q&A.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And while he does that, I'm going to wink at Jason Kemp. Jason Kemp, you got it. Thank you. You got me smiling. Don't be attached to the outcome.
Yeah, because I think one thing that's helpful for everybody, because I think a lot of people get lost in, okay, somebody clicked on me. What should I say when I call? I know when I've done these webinars, I've used what Tom utilizes is more of that cold approach, which is they didn't click on you. So calling and saying, hey, you came to sold.com is probably a little bit aggressive because you're getting some background information on things. And so I've always used what Tom's approach, which was I'm air quoting, coincidental phone call. I'm reaching out and I'm saying, hey, my name is, I'm gonna use your name, Garrison. My name is Garrison. I'm reaching out because I have a lot of buyers in your area, but there aren't enough people looking to sell a home. And so I'm curious, have you guys ever considered looking into selling your property or interested in getting a home valuation? And make it just like you were there, right time, right place.
Right time. Yep. Are we referring to the expireds or the for sale by owners? I guess is my question on that one. Was he referring to expired or for sale by owners?
For Garrison specifically, he's asking about our passives, which are just basically like the impressions. Somebody came to the website and just said, I'm interested in getting a free home valuation.
Absolutely. So I agree with you, Deanna, 1000%. So on that lead source, I think it's more of, hey there, this call may seem a little out of place or forward, but I'm a real estate agent with Banana Real Estate, Emily Kettenburg, Banana Real Estate. And I have buyers that are interested in your neighborhood. And unfortunately, we just don't have enough inventory for them to look at. I know this might sound super forward, but have you ever given any thought of selling, or are you curious as to the equity that you've built in your home?
I love that last part. I think that's
so rather than using do you want to see it? You want a CMA? Scrap that right now. As the market shifts, we got to scrap that. We want to talk about equity updates because truth be told, unless they bought in the last 6 months or 3 months, let's call it, they have equity. Even if they only bought a year ago, they have equity. Another way, Garrison, you could call and you could say, I'm a local real estate agent and I am letting everyone, I'm doing an equity update for everyone in the neighborhood. I had done some research for someone, and I thought, since I already had this research, why wouldn't I share this information with the rest of the neighborhood? Are you curious to see what equity you have in your property? So I think rather than the CMA, scrap it and use equity. But I agree. You don't want to say, hi there, I got your name from a pond on sold.com. No. That's definitely not the route to take. I would go with, I have a client or we have clients. If you don't have a client, remember, tell the truth. So if you don't have one, guess what? Use the word we, because I'm going to best guess, unless you're your own broker and you're an individual broker in your own company, there is somebody in your organization that has somebody that potentially might be interested in that property. So when you use the word we, you're not lying. Did that help you? Let's see. Did that get him? Did that get it?
I think so.
All right. Good. Good.
That was really helpful.
No problem. So I don't know if I think there's some of you that mentioned you're from the Northeast. Northeast has Bright MLS. And Bright MLS came out with a fabulous report the other day. I don't know if any other MLSs are doing it, but if not, please ask yours to do it. They pulled the data from the tax records of properties that sold for sale by owner within their MLS region, which is, I want to say, I know it's New Jersey. I'm not sure if it's any part of New York, but it's definitely Pennsylvania and Delaware, Maryland, all the way down, I think, to the top of Virginia. Bright MLS pulled data. You are not going to believe the percentage that for sale by owners tend to sell for than compared to regular sales based off of Bright MLS. If you are in Bright MLS, pull the report or ask your broker for it. 17% that is staggering. As long as that number in your market area is more than 6, you just protected your commission and paid for yourself and netted the seller the same or more money, if it's over 6%, to put into their pocket. I was blown away by that 17%. I would have guessed it was 9 or 10. I would have never guessed it was 17. So what a huge opportunity for all of you if for sale by owner is one of your lead sources, right? Huge opportunity to not only net them more money, but also they paid for you for free just based on the fact that you're going to net them more, right? So again, what's important to them? The analytical research is important to them so that they know. If you're in Bright, guess what? Bright just did it for you. If you're not in Bright MLS, you're going to have to lean into your broker. You're going to have to do the data. Someone's going to have to do the manual research. But the analytical data is really important. In terms of what they truly need to know, they also need to know, both expired and for sale by owners, is about staging. If they're going for sale by owner, they haven't staged their property. Maybe they decorated it. But we know there's a big difference between staging and decorating. You decorate a home to live in it. You stage a home to sell it. I refer to it as the herd of wild elephants. When you're staging a home and you walk through the house, you're going like this, making sure you don't bump into anything, because it's going to be the agent plus 2 people in most cases, right? So they need to know about staging, whether you offer a staging consult or you make a staging recommendation or you pay for a staging consult for them. That's your choice as part of your brand and what you provide. You need to just make sure that you're leveraging the tools to get the properties to be looking the best, because that's probably why they didn't sell. Or if they're for sale by owner, why they don't yet have a contract, right? Decluttering is a super important part of that also. And most sellers don't think about the decluttering. You open the cabinet into the pantry and the pasta's falling on your head. You open the closet in the bathroom and you've got 17,000 towels in there. You as an agent, when you're walking through and presenting to them and pitching, you just simply give them some tips and tricks and hacks on how they can do a little decluttering, which will get them more money, net them more money, and get the house sold. You're the experts, right? So make sure you're leveraging those tools. You're talking about the staging. You're talking about decluttering. You're talking about the landscaping, that first impression. You're talking about the power of putting on new paint, right? It's the little things you take for granted because you think every agent is providing this. And I'm here to say most of them are not. That's why they expire. Because maybe they go on the listing appointment and say, at what price do you want to sell your house? Oh, $1.5 million? Sure. Sign on the dotted line and the house is worth 800. Right? So it's really making sure that you're giving that little extra bit that it takes to win that trust with the consumer. You also need to know the numbers. I'm assuming the majority of you on this call are realtors, which means you're paying NAR dues. If you're paying NAR dues, you're allowed to use the word realtor. It's a registered trademark. It also gives you RPR for free. So if you're not using RPR for the analytical data when it comes to the comps, you have a free RPR account. So make sure you log into that. Analyzing the data to determine the most effective pricing and preparing for the variables is also what those expired and for sale by owners need. Some of you in your MLS might have Remind as an add-on, which is also going to give you some analytical data. The MLS data that you have, the appraisal and the public record data that you have in front of you. Those are all things that are part of doing your homework so that you win every single opportunity you go on. So through sold.com, you could tee up the expired, you could tee up the for sale by owner, but what I really want to make sure you could do is close that appointment each and every single time. I want you all to win. They give you an amazing platform. And truth be told, when I saw, like I mentioned earlier, when I saw that platform, I was like, man, I should get back into sales, because when I did it, it all had to be manual. I mean, we're talking in the 90s. There was no sold.com. There was no one to provide us with this data. It took us hours to find those expired. We had MLS books that were this thick, and we had a comp book. The MLS book came out once a week, and we had a comp book that came out once a month, for God's sakes, and then sometimes once a quarter. So you've got the data in front of you, but I want you to win it each and every single time. Okay. So what else do they need to know? They need to know how you're going to market their property. Don't assume that they understand what you're going to do differential to market their property. They may have expired because their agent only put the sign in the ground. Or they may be a failed for sale by owner because their belief is that they're only going to put this, you're only going to put the sign in the ground. So use your data that you have, your top agent network, your brokerage lists for networking, the local publications, your online syndication. You really need to make sure that you're doing that homework so that they'll pick you. What's another thing they need to know? They need to know about you. So your written testimonials, your reviews, any board awards, any certifications or designations you have, your brokerage affiliation, any third-party awards or so on and so forth that you have. The bottom line is, what we know is that people hire people they know, like, and trust. Sold.com is going to help you tee up those appointments, but you've got to win them. So again, my question to you is, which one do you need to level up on? So of those items we discussed, write one down. We've got one under mindset. We've got one under skill set now, and make sure that based on those, we're able to move forward to action. All right. We're running out of time, but it's good. The action portion of it is simple. Execute with relentless discipline. That is what you need to do. The key to success is leveraging your mindset of greatness to execute with relentless discipline. So whether it's your weekly schedule, your daily schedule, your tracking and measuring, your script practice, or just you forcing yourself to stay on track, the key is you need to execute with relentless discipline. So today we went over mindset. Hopefully you got one nugget. We went over skill set. Hopefully you got one nugget. Now we're going over action. Hopefully you're figuring out which of these four you need to stay on track with. So I'm hoping that the promise from the beginning that you would come out with 3 actionable steps, you have them written in front of you. If you don't, Deanna's going to get you the recording and the slides, and you're going to go back through it and make sure you have those 3, and you're going to make a commitment to yourself for those 3. Okay. All right. Good. Deanna, a word from our sponsor. It's a fabulous prize.
Yes. So this was so great because most everybody that's on this call is already in our network. And so
Awesome.
If you have not, I just linked it. If you're not already in our network and you're like, wait, sold.com, I got an email and this is so great that they're hosting this is amazing information, but I don't even know what sold.com is. You can complete that link that's in the chat, and it allows for you to create your completely free profile. So now your next
Awesome.
question might be, well, then if it's free, why am I getting this 35% promotion then? So what sold.com does, you heard us talking about passive referrals. So what's really unique about us is that, like most lead sources, when people come to the website, we have a concierge team setting up appointments to meet with a real estate agent. And what's nice about us is we focus our business on sellers, which is what most people are trying to get more of in their business. So we're about 90% seller referrals as they come out to you. But what's really, right, exactly.
I love it.
What's really unique for us is that not only are you going to be eligible for things that we're warm handing off and getting you those introductions to sellers with those actual in-house appointments, but we also give you what most other companies call as impressions, how many times your ad was displayed as we recommended you. We're going to actually tell you on every single client who comes to our website where you were one of the recommended agents, their name and then their address of their property. And so that is something that you get by default by paying absolutely nothing. So as Emily's talked about working FSBOs, working expireds, some people I know spend a lot of money on trying to buy lists from title companies, trying to go to Vulcan 7, Red X, all these companies to buy lists of consumers that they can prospect to. And it's called prospecting, right? You're buying just basically a neighborhood zip code radius of, I want to make sure that I grow my business here. With sold.com, you're actually getting people that are typically hand raisers. They came on a website and said, I want a free home valuation. Does that mean that they're 100% ready to sell their home today? Absolutely not. But what it does mean is that they're taking steps that are alluding to the fact that they may be interested at some point. When you're getting a valuation on something, it's typically because you're looking for something. So we automatically give that stuff to you for free whenever you're recommended. And so that's why Garrett was asking that question of like, how should I work those types of leads? But what you can also do is you can sponsor zip codes. And so that's where that 35% off comes into play. So I put a new link in there as well. And so this allows for you guys to raise your hand and say, I'm interested in learning more about this. But what the benefit of sponsoring a zip code is now not only are you going to get their name and their address for every single consumer who comes to the website and the zip codes that you own, but you're also going to get their phone number and their email address. So as we talked with Garrett about what's the right approach for those people is if you are somebody who has been spending money on buying lists from your title companies or these other companies that do it, you could actually save yourself quite a bit of money by doing a zip code sponsorship and getting it all in one place. And what's
Love
unique
that.
about exactly, and what's unique about sold.com is that we have an agent success team. So like the couple of the notes that I wrote down are wrapped around like your 4 kind of bullet points of showing up. Like, how do you show up every single day? If you sponsor a zip code, you're going to have an access to your passive referrals that are basically all those people who came to the website that raised their hand and said, I'm thinking about getting a home valuation. I'm thinking about getting a cash offer. And so where I think where my head goes is don't be so attached to the outcome of each one of those passive referrals or impression referrals, because it does take a lot of nurturing in some cases. You are making an introduction and having a value-driven proposition as you're talking to them. But with this guaranteed display program, it allows for you to sponsor a zip code, get the contact details for every single consumer who comes to the website and raises their hand in the zip codes that you own. But then additionally, it allows for you to increase your ranking so that you're getting more opportunities for referrals in the areas that you want to work. So this allows for you to basically increase your priority. So if you're thinking about like what Emily's discussion points have been, which is show up, invest in your time every single day, go dive into your passives. And if you have an email address, put them in your CRM. You have an address, go start putting some mailers out there because these are more targeted mailers. They're not just a blanketed zip code that I want to work in. These are people, again, that have raised their hand in some fashion that are alluding to doing something. Make some time to call, time block your day, and start to make some phone calls to each of those passives, utilizing more of that cold approach of I have buyers in your area and just don't have enough sellers. Have you been interested in knowing how much equity you have in your property? I love that phrasing. So that's my take on show up and how it can relate to sold.com. Paying attention. So one thing that's really cool about sold.com, so as Emily talked about, paying attention is learning about how you're going to speak to that consumer based off of how they want to be spoken to. What are their key points that are going to actually resonate with them? And so in most calls, you're going in there completely blind. You don't know what they're going to like and who they are until you actually start to talk to them. With sold.com, we actually have an agent success team. So for those of you guys who have actually received appointments from us, what you're receiving every time you receive an appointment, and Emily, you may have not even known this, is they get a notes pop up. Our concierge leaves a notes that tells them,
you guys are spoiling them, Deanna. Are you kidding me? I love it.
Bob, he's a little timid about like, he's very timid about real estate agents. But he's doing this. Or spoke to Bob. He originally was interested in getting a cash offer. We talked to him about why cash offers are traditionally going to yield less money than going with a traditional agent. And so he's open to learning about how much he could make with you as a traditional agent versus if he were to go the cash offer route.
Love
And so
it.
now you know exactly what your deliverable is. Is it's going to be, it's not going to be your traditional listing appointment CMA presentation. It's going to be value driven on, I can make you more money. If it's a for sale by owner, again, we talk about you guys as backup plan of, hey, not trying to get you to do what you don't want to do right now, because otherwise you're going to be pushing somebody and you guys are going to be like magnets hitting against each other. In this world, it's more of the value proposition of, we build you up of what you're going to do. I want to have an agent come out there and talk about themselves as a backup plan. So if in the worst case scenario, you were unable to sell your home, you can know what this agent would do for you to get your home sold. And traditionally, they sell it for more money because they have a network of people. They have negotiating skills, they're marketing, they're getting a lot more visibility to your property. So we're building you up on that pedestal. But I think it really is important of paying attention on both sides, is paying attention to the resources that we offer you so you guys can truly utilize them, but then also tap into our agent success team so that we can help really further leverage you guys more. And then just don't get so attached to that outcome. You are gonna, I can guarantee you're gonna hear someone go, oh, I've been thinking about cash offers, it's probably the best way. No, I'm a for sale by owner, I'll never hire an agent. Remember your value and don't forget to really talk through what your value is. Don't get discouraged on that. And like that shocking stat to me, which was that 80% of sales come from the 5th and 12th attempt, is insane. So keep that stuff going. And so what this 35% off does is it gives you the ability to get more referrals. The reason why you guys are all on this call is because you're motivated and driven and you want to figure out how to get more business. The real estate market is changing. And so this allows for you guys to get a good discount on what we offer. And just so you guys, if you guys know about zip codes, most of the time when you're talking to companies about zip codes, I came from a background of Zillow, and you're talking like $2,000 a zip code per month, right? On average, our zip codes range about $70 retail price.
Oh my gosh.
So, and this gives you 35% off of that. So much different pricing on how you guys can work it. But for those of you guys who really want to take advantage of increasing your business, utilizing all of these, I mean, I have pages of notes that I've taken even for myself from Emily. Utilize all those different tips and just utilize everything that sold.com provides you and really use that as leverage, because I think you guys will see a ton of conversion there. And then for going through this and for showing up for yourselves as part of this, we want to give that 35% off. So all you have to do is fill out that form. A member of our team will call you back and talk you through it. So even if you're like, I'm a maybe, but I kind of want to know a little bit more, fill that form out. I just put it in the chat again. Our team will call you back and walk you through all the different pieces of what sold.com does. Danielle actually joined the call, so I'm sure she has pages of notes too, so that we can continue reinforcing Emily's messaging.
Great. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending your time. I know we went a little over and I appreciate you being engaging. I'm hoping that you've got some amazing takeaways. You have a wonderful partnership here with sold.com. Like I said, when I did it, it was the manual way. I was so impressed when they showed me the platform that you all have access to. So the whole key is keep moving forward. Don't give up. Don't let a no get you down. Every no is going to get you closer to a yes. And go out there and crush it, convert more deals. It was a pleasure spending time with you guys. Hope to see you all again sometime soon.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Emily. This was great. Look
All
forward
right,
to talking
take
to everybody again.
All right, bye-bye now.